Hello, welcome to the Slam. I'm Jim Smallman. We are 40 as we take this days away from WrestleMania. Joining me in the studio today is Rob McNichol from The Sun and Brendon Burns, awesome stand-up comedian who is going to WrestleMania.
Yes, I'm very, very excited.
How excited on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably about 11. For some reason, the Rumble didn't quite feel like the road to WrestleMania had started yet. But then I think once that Cena promo last night, that gave me tingles.
Cena selling tickets.
I know. Well, I'll be honest. It's the first time in ages I've watched a Cena promo on Raw last night and went, yeah, he's quite good at this. Because you forget he was. That's how he got over in the first place.
Yeah.
Was actually being a little bit edgy and being fairly decent with the promos when he had the whole rapping gimmick. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone sort of went, ooh.
Yeah, and there was quite a few like semi-worked shoots. In there, and I think it was a great argument. I like that we're returning to form of people having proper battles of words.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm just going to beat you in the ring, that people are actually attacking one another on an artistic level, on an artistic and personal level.
There ought to be a reason, didn't there, for the reason that they hate each other, and whether it's Punk and Jericho, this best in the world thing, which is a little bit flimsy, but yeah, the fact that Cena's got a legitimate gripe, I want to wrestle Rock because, and not just because people have made the booking, I agree with.
Yeah.
But also that he said that he has writers.
Well, I think that was meant to be Brian Gewirtz, was it, when he said about he has a comedy writer and he called him Brian, didn't he? So I think that's referring to the writer of Raw. That
I did not pick up on
perhaps
that.
Cena does his own, perhaps Cena does his own promos and Rock doesn't. Well, I thought that was the insinuation. But.
I've known like secondhand. I've known people that have written for the Raw in the Attitude days.
All right.
And there were comedians that were working with the Rock, and they always said that the Rock was a really funny guy. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine, Morgan Murphy, that I was living with. Her flatmate wrote with The Rock, and the first time he worked out that he was a really funny guy was he did a promo against AIDS. And he's going, let me tell you something, AIDS. And he just kept on saying how he's going to combat AIDS. And on the 21st of March, AIDS, you better watch out.
The thing is, though, he is naturally, you do watch certain wrestlers and I think they are naturally funny, and The Rock's always had that personality. I mean, something I'm going to speak to you guys about in a bit is obviously someone who's going to WrestleMania is whether or not people are actually going to cheer Cena, because I think the chance of that happening in Miami, no matter what they do, however they position him, is going to be incredibly difficult. We'll come to that in a sec, because we have got Skype on the Skype wall.
16 appeals from the Indian Supreme Court are challenging a 2009 ruling which legalised gay sex. The court have asked the appealants to define unnatural sex before continuing. The ex-Archbishop of Canterbury, George Kelly, has formed a group to block the progress of same-sex marriage.
I'm aware of with you, and forgive me for bringing it up, is the fact that you, we probably can't gather this from the Skype wall, but you are completely blind, is this correct?
For dinner with the pint.
Oh, sorry, say that again, we lost you for a second.
I'm totally blind in both eyes. I lost complete vision when I was 3.
Well, and now you're a massive wrestling fan. I mean, I have to ask. I mean, we can see you wearing a CM Punk t-shirt, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask. I mean, how? I get annoyed listening to wrestling commentators sometimes because I don't think they're always focusing on the action. I mean, obviously that's your main way of absorbing the action. I mean, does it ever annoy you, or do you find that you get things described to you perfectly well?
Well, Michael Cole is certainly not the ideal wrestling commentator to listen to. Granted, I mean, he's a tremendous character, tremendous heel character, but in terms of calling the action, Michael Cole and Booker T makes me want to ram my head into a brick wall sometimes.
That must be impossible to tell what's happened in the ring, when it's only being conveyed by Booker T going, oh, snap.
Oh, he's going to do it.
He must be thinking, it's someone playing like a 12-year-old card game. Oh, snap!
Well, I got annoyed the other night watching Elimination Chamber. There was a point where there was some really good psychology being involved, and it was I forget who was targeting Santino, but someone was targeting Santino and deliberately targeting his Cobra arm, which is a really, really good old school bit of psychology, working on a body part. And Michael Cole was talking about something else. And from my point, I can still see what's going on, but from your point of view, I mean, it must be really, really frustrating, Des, sometimes.
It's really frustrating, but I love wrestling so much that I grin and bear it. And thankfully nowadays I have such a wealth of resources. Like I can read about what's going on as well. I have a really good friend, Rudy Chinchilla, who's just a play-by-play guru. I think he's the next Joey Styles, actually. So when we hang out, he voluntarily kind of describes the action to me, and he's very good at it. But yeah, I mean, Joey Styles for me is the ideal commentator because he always knew how to blend storytelling and he understood the psychology of wrestling matches. So he was perfect. And when he got taken off Raw, we got Michael Cole, and yeah, not so good, but it's still bearable.
So do you visualize in your head, what does Michael Cole look like in your head?
Oh man, people give me this all the time, but you know it's impossible for me to draw up a picture of anyone in my head. Whatever an obnoxious person looks like, that's what Michael Cole looks like, I would think.
You bang on, to be fair, Des. I mean, that's pretty much it. But with really bad tattoos. I have to point out.
Surprising tattoos.
Yeah, surprising.
Wasn't that a surprise when it turned out that he had tattoos?
Can I ask Des? I wondered if you had an opinion on how you feel how wrestling goes from soap opera, sports entertainment, as opposed to proper wrestling, because people often say there's not enough focus on the matches. But for someone like yourself, would you prefer the emphasis is on storyline?
I think storyline for professional wrestling is very important. But, I mean, I've grown to appreciate the pure talent of pro wrestling because I do see it as an art form, essentially, where you have two guys in the ring trying to convey a story, trying to solicit emotion from a crowd with their body language and what's going on between those ropes. So I think that's a really crucial part of it. But I think without a properly developed storyline, it's impossible to get the crowd emotionally invested in something. So I think both lend themselves to the industry.
I mean, Des, do you get out to live events very much?
Oh, I do. I go out to I'm in Southern California, so I go out to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla quite often.
Oh, brilliant! Because the crowds for that are quite crazy as well, aren't they?
Man, the crowds are tremendous at PWG. I think I've been to a Ring of Honor show and I've been to a couple PWG shows, and the PWG crowd is just so into the action, so into the emotion. It's crazy, actually.
And also, of course, you have Kevin Steen, who just is great.
Dude, Steen is tremendous. Like, in the ring, the way he interacts with fans, he's just such a perfect heel, man. I love that guy. He's one of my favorites right now.
Excellent. Now, you tend to tweet a fair bit about wrestling. I believe you're the Markist Smart on Twitter, aren't you, my friend?
Yes, follow me. I will pollute your timeline with facts that may or may not pertain to professional wrestling, coffee, or Pepsi Cola. I have quite the unhealthy obsession with all three.
Well, no, it's fine. I mean, after we had him on the other week, I follow Mantor Fan now. and last night, it was mainly facts about Mantor. He is...
wow!
Yeah, I know. And
how did he not run out of that?
To come out at the weekend.
No, probably in a local Arizona. I'll be honest. A mixture of both. I have to ask, Des, before we let you go, what match are you looking forward to most at Mania?
Man, I mean, last year, honestly, and I think this is because I really didn't, this is because I watched the Ring of Honor center stage shows, so I couldn't appreciate Hunter and Taker because I was just so like, man, this match is so slow paced. I don't like this because I just watched 2 days of straight, fast paced, high flying wrestling. So, but after I watched the promos leading up to this one, especially last night with the with Triple H finally accepting the challenge from Taker, which was the only good segment of Raw, by the way. I'm really looking forward to that match. The Hell in a Cell is going to be tremendous.
Excellent stuff. Well, Des, enjoy WrestleMania, and feel free to get in touch with us here on the Slam whenever you want, my friend. We appreciate your perspective on things. Thank you very much, Des. We shall speak to you soon. Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guy. Des, I'm genuinely fascinated because obviously we take it for granted the fact that we just put it on, watch it. You know, if we don't like Michael Cole, we can switch him off.
Yeah.
Des can't do that. And that's fair play to him.
Yeah, and the fact that he's, I don't want to sound patronising, but the fact that he refers to that he watched a couple of Ring of Honor shows and watched, it's still part of the whole. The fact that you get the same feeling, I think that's absolutely fantastic. That it's open to everyone; anyone can enjoy it.
No, absolutely. Now, he mentioned Raw last night. Said the only section he enjoyed was the Undertaker.
He was nervous.
Oh, Undertaker was very nervous
about speaking as himself. But it's exactly what I was waiting for. I think did I predict it last time that he'll come out as himself? Because the man behind the character is so much more interesting.
Well, I'll be honest. I get I get laughed at or criticised for this a lot, but I've never been a massive fan of Dead Man Taker. I always preferred American Badass Taker.
But it was the point when I stopped watching wrestling at 13 was when Vince McMahon said, we're not entirely sure if The Undertaker is alive or dead. And I went, this is rubbish, and stopped watching for 5 years.
Yeah, I could have done without the only thing that turned me off that promo was the apocalypse reference.
Yeah.
Of like, is coming is the apocalypse, but also that I love that. I mean, he's renowned for his slow teasers, his slow transformations, the acknowledgement that he's cutting his hair, and he was wearing a hood last night, and he was speaking in his own voice, and then just blew it all a bit with the apocalypse reference, and you actually heard everyone going, because not only that, if his career is winding down, you have to wind down as a man. You can't like then give your retirement speech.
Do you think that's what it was? You think that's a retirement speech?
I think they'll both retire at the end of it. I mean, Mick Foley was tweeting about it saying he's got no inside information on it, but he expects both of them to retire at the end of it. That's why they're doing that whole end of the era thing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting set. I wonder if there's someone within WWE that's got a bit of an unhealthy obsession about the Mayan thing of 2012, because Chris Jericho is the end of the world as we know it.
Oh, yeah.
The Undertaker's the apocalypse thing. I think Harold Camping is booking WWE.
What worried me even more was, I mean, it was good to see Taker again. He looked healthy. He looks a lot thinner. His arms look a lot smaller, I know.
Yeah.
But also the fact that he'd stolen the Miz's jacket.
Yeah, the big gay bat.
It is
the big gay bat outfit.
How many rivets can we put on a jacket is a competition that I think they do quite a bit when dressing wrestlers. But I wanted him to pull his hood down so we could see him without any hair.
Well, I read somewhere that there's a suggestion that they reckon it's going to be the big reveal at WrestleMania. He's going to wear that hood until Mania, and then he's going to take it off, and it's going to be, wow, he's bald. But the only person I can ever remember them doing that in the past was Goldust. Was when Goldust first debuted and he had the long hair, and his first match was, I think, was Marty Jannetty. Yeah. He ripped it off and charged, and he went, hey, the guy's got no hair.
No, Keiji Muto in Japan, who started losing his hair and then eventually just shaved his head, disappeared for a year, came back, and he did the whole hood thing, and everyone went, now he's old and therefore he's not invincible anymore, which was actually a really good way of booking it.
That's a good one. That would work.
Well, that's what I think. Yeah, if I love the psychology of I'm a guy that runs the brand versus I'm an old guy that wants an end. But I really was, the Hell in the Cell reference really like threw me a curveball, because I was expecting, all right, the condition is this is your career.
I thought it was going to be
I didn't expect the Hell in a Cell thing.
I think what it does is really, really show up the fact that the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is kind of anachronistic, and that felt way less important, Triple H saying that to Taker, because we only saw two Hell in a Cell matches in October?
Yeah.
And it was, who was it, Orton? I can't remember, Orton and Henry and the Triple Threat, and they weren't particularly good. I think it's watered down the Hell in a Cell.
No one is those two.
No, I know, but I still think it would be even better if we hadn't seen one for 2 or 3 years and Taker and Triple H would have
I think the fact that it's got those two guys in it will make a difference.
It'll be fine, but I still...
One of the guys in the office asked me as well, where are they going to put it?
That's a good point.
Where are they going to suspend it?
Oh, yeah, because it's open air stadium. That is weird. They're going to have to build it.
I'm very excited,
maybe
if it's on the stage area, then I've got brilliant seats.
Listen, guys, we'll talk more about Elimination Chamber, more about Raw and everything in a couple of minutes. First of all, though, we need to go off to these messages. We will see you in 2. Part 2 of the Slam. Hello, my name is Jim Smallman. Joining me in the studio is the Suns' Rob McNichol, the awesome Mr. Brendon Burns, CM Punk hat this time. Instead of an Edge hat. Was it an Edge hat last time?
I don't know, but I don't really go around life feeling much awe from people.
Well, you should. Damn it, you should.
Awe isn't a part of my daily life. I live in the country. My wife left my slippers out for me last night when I came in late.
Have you got slippers?
I've got slippers.
What are they like?
Am I now chipping away even more at the awe?
What are your slippers like?
They're fluffy.
I've heard that booking agents feel a lot of awe when someone says we're going to get Brendon Burns on, they go,
Hey? Are you trying to cut a promo on me?
I might have done.
This is what's happening.
It's good.
You had a go at me doing this last time in the presence of 2 comedians. I now notice we've now got 3 in the room on the wall. So no
you've got to be very careful. We're going to talk more about the Elimination Chamber. And joining us, a good friend of the show, Mr. Sam Pacelli. Hello, Sam.
Hello, how's it going, boys?
All right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well.
Excellent. Now, I know you watched Elimination Chamber because you were tweeting through it, as was I, as was Rob, as was Brendon. So, overall thoughts on Elimination Chamber, my friend?
Well, it was a strange pay-per-view for me because it started off really well. The first chamber was wicked, but they put the headliner at the beginning of the show. and it seemed to just tail off for me, which is odd, really. You wouldn't do that at a comedy gig, you know?
Yeah, you would.
Put Brendon on. And then
I did last night. I had another one to go to. So that was what was happening, is the Elimination Chamber, they all had to be at another Elimination Chamber across town.
Yeah, it was a very tight double up. Now, I'm kind of weird, because I was surprised when they started with that match. But I think, reasoning-wise, I think everyone knew there was only 2 people in it who would potentially win it. I think that's one of the reasons they put it at the beginning. I mean, could you really have seen anyone winning it apart from Jericho or CM Punk?
No, I mean, it just wasn't going to happen, was it? Unless there was, I was secretly hoping for some massive return. I was really hoping for Christian and for Del Rio to come back, and it was great that they did, but in a bizarre capacity that was in no way enjoyable. But yeah, you're right. I guess that is a reason for booking it first. I mean, I thought putting it first, they might have done something interesting with the Kane Cena angle, and maybe Rock might return just to pound on Cena at the end of the show. And so it was a massive disappointment that was the headline. That was the last fight, and then it was just so anticlimactic. I was very sad. I stayed up for 24 hours to watch that. I just got back off a plane, and I was like, oh, why did I stay up?
Yeah, I did too as well. There was an extra hour where I was like, I've done 4 a.m. for this. I could have gone to bed at 3.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty much. There were people tweeting me going, I'm going to bed after the SmackDown Chamber match.
Yeah, that made sense.
And to be fair, I mean, they would have missed 2 matches, but one of them apparently involved Jack Swagger, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, what happened? I can't even remember.
Jack Swagger won in about 30 seconds against Justin has incredibly weird hair Gabriel.
Well, his frame makes me feel sexually assaulted. There's something about his frame that makes me feel molested. Just looking at him like,
See, I have a theory on those 2 matches and why they were there. One is because I think that they don't want Cena to be anywhere else other than main event because Cena Rock at Mania. If he's not in the main event, it makes that match feel less special in their eyes. And I imagine the Swagger match was there basically to bring the crowd down after the Chamber because they got so hot for Santino in the end of the SmackDown Chamber. If they'd have gone straight onto Cena Kane, actually it wouldn't have fit. So they just bring them down to bring them back up again.
That's what I want to speak about next, Sam, is Santino. Did you... firstly, I didn't think there was a chance of him winning, but did you get really excited with how it was booked?
Yeah.
It was really good. I mean, I've always championed Santino. He is, as a comedy character, he's genuinely funny. I find him very entertaining. Maybe it's because I'm half Italian, I don't know. But I did tweet, if he was going to win, I was going to get my Italy football shirt and run outside butt naked, swinging it round and round. It was an empty thing, an empty kind of promise because obviously it wasn't going to happen. But it was yeah. I really enjoyed the end of that, and because the beginning of the first 20 minutes really was really boring. And the crowd definitely agreed with that. It was awful. You could audibly hear all the boring chants. It was terrible. But then as soon as Santino kind of came into it was great.
Well, it was a combination, I think, of Santino and Daniel Bryan being a particularly good... It proves what a good ring general Daniel Bryan is, because as soon as he came in, the match instantly picked up.
Yeah, it did.
And it got loads better. But also, it's the most sensible booking WWE have done in ages, is to make Daniel Bryan look like a proper heel, is to have him beat Santino. And Santino tapped out in the right way.
And grow a beard.
Grow a beard.
And grow a beard.
Is the first
I saw online that he said that he's growing a WrestleMania beard, that he's actually not shaving until WrestleMania, just so that because he's such an empathetic character, that the only way that he can get over as a heel is he's there's evil in my whiskers.
Yeah, the only way, it will look like the old man and the sea by the end of it.
Do you think they're going to turn Santino like as a shoot fighter? Like they did, remember Kurt Angle was a comedy character to begin with.
Well, Santino's character in OVW was a shoot fighter.
A Russian.
Yeah, a Russian shoot fighter.
He was Vladimir Kozlov's character.
Yeah, he was Boris Alexiev, wasn't he? That was his name.
Boris Alexia.
Good knowledge.
Yeah. And I think it could be. Well, also I think last night on Raw, even though his match only lasted a minute, he still put in more offense than he's put in the last 2 years.
Do you know what? He was the only person that properly sold his injury from the Chamber.
Yeah.
And it really, really bothered me that they talk about the Chamber and it's the most devilish structure. It takes years off your career. Every single one of them wrestled the following night. Some of them twice, and basically none of them sold it whatsoever. But Cena was actually holding his arm.
Don't you love the modern way of selling the Elimination Chamber? Is guys walk up to the chamber's edge and grab chains as if they've never seen chains before in their life, going, yep, it's chains. Well, this is real. Hang on a second, there's genuine chains here. Oh, I'm in for a long night. Strokey beard, strokey beard.
Sam, I mean, one thing that I noticed when watching the Raw Elimination Chamber match was the fact that we talk about it lessening people's careers. Or shortening people's careers. But surely wrestling Kofi Kingston does that to people.
Oh, bless him. Oh. What do you mean? What, in the fact that he bought everything, a la Shelton Benjamin? Is that what you mean?
His Ventac is getting better, isn't it?
He did. His ventriloquism is good. Sam is still there. It's just his face isn't moving. No, I mean there was that in particular. There was the first bump that. Where he was meant to just backdrop CM Punk and you know the one person you don't want to dump because he did seem to really be hurt.
I think that was a legit one. I don't think it was. I think he did hurt. Obviously, he was okay, and eventually, and they do take bangs and bruises here and there. But it does kind of put into question: is that a good time to have the Chamber? Because if you are going to get injured, I mean, it looks like Barrett might have taken an injury on Monday as well on Raw, and it's like, you don't want to get injured now, do you?
Did you see as well? They still talk about not thinking on your feet. Is they still went and eliminated guys next to him.
Santino landed on him.
Yeah. And they literally, the CMTs were looking up and going, guys, there's 4 edges to the ring.
Yeah.
And
has there been an update on his... I'll ask you, Rob, as the man in the know. Has there been a genuine update on his...
Yeah, the last I heard, it was a partially dislocated elbow.
Ow!
That's the WWE reasoning for it. You know, they're obviously they said that Jericho had a concussion on Sunday night and he clearly didn't. It was a storyline. So you can never be quite sure of what they're working and what they're not. But I think that's probably quite genuine. I don't think that was scripted in. So they reckon partially dislocated elbow, but that's probably slightly better than a break.
Well, did you see them working on their feet, thinking on their feet? Is immediately everyone gathered in the 4 corners and then you can see him call an audible going, well, what are we going to do now? And the final image of Raw last night was Jericho walking around the corner, walking up to one of the refs and going, what happened to Wade?
Yeah.
And I suspect Wade was supposed to eliminate Show, pull him out from outside the ring.
That's possible.
Yeah. But Cody and the 3, because not only that, the Show, it's always got to be 4 people eliminating him.
That's true.
You very rarely have...
Although Cody did put him out of the Chamber, so that does kind of fit that's 2 nights in the trot that Cody's done.
I can seamlessly link this together because now that's obviously an improvised ending, and joining us again on the Skywalk is Sam Ficelli, who dropped out for a minute, but is normally improvised comedian. Look at that, boom! You see that?
What a segment, Jim! What a segment!
I am a segment king. That's how I like to. That's how I like to roll. What was if we go back to the Elimination Chamber? What was your sort of best moment, worst moment from it?
My worst moment was the complete disregard for the Funkasaurus. Where's he gone?
Yeah. Has he hurt himself? Where has he gone?
I believe the official line is that, well, the unofficial line is that Vince, etc., aren't particularly happy with his in-ring work, so he's been bumped back down to doing dark matches. Which I actually thought his in-ring work was all right.
Well, do you know what the unofficial line is on that? Is I think they gave him a gimmick which they wanted to, humiliate him with, and it got over. And they've gone, oh, we probably gave him this to, make a fool of him, and it's actually working. Maybe we'll do something else with it. Because since when has Vince cared about it? Great Khali's been on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What does that? That's a good point.
How funny was Punk last night when they said, who do you want to be looking across?
And he went, anyone but Khali.
No, and he goes, hang on. He does go, I'll rephrase that. I don't want to be standing opposite Khali for a number of reasons.
Yeah, he did.
The fact that he's a broom.
Yeah, he is.
I made him break character. Not tell me about this?
No.
Years ago when they came to London, and I'm very loud when I'm heckling, and I was in the front row, and I yelled out at the top of my lungs, and this is back when he wasn't supposed to be able to comprehend or speak English, and I yelled at the top of my lungs, you know how they say in wrestling he can have a good match with a broom? You, sir, are the broom. We are not booing you because of your effective heel work. We are booing you because you are simply awful. And he turned around and looked directly at me and completely broke kayfabe and told me to F off. And then later on, like, did his entire match preoccupied with me, and all the fans nearby were going, "Keep going, you're making him." And
I like the fact that you had the time to get all that out. It sounds like one of the things the crowd would shout in Roy of the Rovers when it would come up on the little, little box.
Well, there's something about if you, particularly in America. I mean, it happened in London as well. But if you affect a posh English accent and speak very slowly, everyone stops yelling what they're yelling to tune in, and so the longer-winded you make it, the more people will hear your heckle.
I do like that.
And so later on then as well, he did his whole match to me. He goes, F off, and then he goes, well, watch this then, right? And then he goes to do his chop, and it was with Carlito, and Carlito jumped in the air, and Carly was over the other side of the ring, nowhere near where he's supposed to be, and I yelled out, what was supposed to happen, sir? And he was livid. I never want to bump into him.
No, you probably shouldn't. Sam, have you ever seen a worse wrestler than the Great Khali?
Only at my 23rd birthday when the girls got in the ring to wrestle. But no, apart from that.
Hang on. What happened on your birthday?
Gloss over that.
Wait a second.
What did you do for your 23rd birthday?
And why were we I thought you said third. And I was like, what's the...
No, not third,
Forget the bouncy castle. What, do you have servants?
What happened, man?
We set up like a ring in the lounge, and 30 people waited. We had a King of the Ring tournament, and we wrestled each other. You know, they say don't try this at home. Yeah, no, ignore that.
You know, my missus pointed out last night as well, whenever they do that announcement backstage, and it's like, hi, I'm WWE superstar, etc., 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 please don't try this at home. Every person ever giving you that warning is someone who ignored it completely as a child.
Yeah, there was a
and became a wrestler.
Years and years ago, they had one of those. They had one of those things come up, and maybe 10, 12 years ago, and the very, very next match was a Matt and Jeff Hardy match, and Michael Cole went, "These guys have been wrestling since they were 14 and 15." Think.
Sam, before we let you go, are you doing a WrestleMania party this year?
There will definitely be something happening, either in London or in Brighton. Yeah, we'll all come. It'll be a big, lovely fest of wrestling fans.
Well, obviously we accept your invitation. Obviously, Brendon apparently he's got something better to do, like being in Miami. But
do you want me to Skype?
Yeah, Skype in definitely. From the arena.
From the arena?
Yeah.
You're going?
Yeah. I go every year with my kid. Last night, I was just telling them, last night in the Cena Hard Knocks vignette, you can very clearly see me and my son in the background.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Which I've got it on Sky Plus, so I'm going to go home now and just find that.
You can see very clearly my little boy going, oh, I'm on telly.
Yeah. And don't forget, of course, if you are watching this, John Cena is an awesome human being because he can lift more weight than you. Very important. Sam,
he can't do anything right in your eyes, can he?
No, he can't. Sam, thank you very much for joining us, mate. We will speak to you before WrestleMania, no doubt, and our paths are crossing in a few weeks. So I look forward to seeing you, mate.
Cool. See you later, guys.
See you later. Thanks, Sam. Sam Pacelli from The Noise Next Door, Red Next Door on Twitter if you want to follow him. Guys, we're going to go to another break in a minute. When we come back in part 3, we're going to find out our FCW names, which I'm very excited by. We've got 2 hats. That's how this will work. It's going to be brilliant. We will see you in a couple of minutes' time after these messages. Join us after the break. Hello chaps, welcome back to part 3 of The Slam. My name is Jim Smallman. I'm here every week talking about wrestling with you, and joining me in the studio, regular guests, very regular guest. I'm not saying you eat a lot of fibre, but Rob McNichol from The Sun, and second visit for Mr. Brendon Byrne.
Thank you for having me back.
It's all right. We like having you in. You're now our kind of post-pay-per-view expert.
Oh, I hope so.
PPV.
PPV.
Post-pay-per-view.
I mean, how's
that I used to mess up at the end of emails writing PSS. I never said PPS. I said PSS. So that's post-script.
It is. How are we going to do? I mean, when do you get back after WrestleMania? Because obviously we want a full on-hand report.
I think I'm touring the States for a bit, and then I'm back doing the Underbelly, the South Bank Festival in April 21st.
Yeah. So we'll get you back in after
I'll Skype you live from Miami.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is just, I'm very excited. I'm very genuinely, I'm really pleased for you that you're going.
I've still got spare tickets.
Don't say things like that.
You should go.
I can't, I'm working. I really want to go.
I'm working. Where are you working that's so important?
Oh, I need the money.
You need the money. I know, but what is it? Folkestone? What's happening? Do the people of Folkestone really need Jim Smallman that much?
No,
what happens if you pull? Where are you going? Loughborough? Hey,
no, that's
next
Sunday.
door, that, isn't it?
That's the Sunday.
To be fair, that is
you can
the
walk
Sunday.
that.
And I will be walking it, save petrol.
Now,
Now,
turn up and it's like Loughborough is closed now because Jim's not coming in April.
Mate, he wouldn't go to Aberystwyth last week, would he?
I couldn't go to Aberystwyth, I was ill.
It's hard. It's harder than you think. Aberystwyth. Hang on, you know what? They just said for once we're talking wrestling.
Yeah, let's get about
just to
wrestling.
negate
About
that week.
Now,
You've got two hats there.
I've got
Tell
two
us
hats.
what's in the hats.
In the hats, because obviously you're going to Miami. While you're in Miami, will you go and watch some FCW being recorded? So the developmental league of the WWE. Do you reckon?
Oh, really? Does that happen?
That happens. Yeah.
On the weekend?
That happens. Do you know what day of the week?
No, I don't actually. I think they are doing it because obviously it's
I
Florida
don't
Championship.
get there
so-
until the Friday.
No, there's a lot going
you
on
might
with the
be-
Ring
you-
of Honor and stuff.
Yeah, you might be a bit busy. You going to the Hall? You going to the Hall of Fame?
Of course I am. You'll probably hear me heckle. You can hear me heckle in all the DVDs.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really loud. And while everyone's being reverential, during the first one, Dick episode, when he came out, you can hear me very clearly yell, "Hey!" And during the $1 Million Man saying, "Who wants some of my money?" you can very clearly hear me yell, "Capitalism is a broken system." To which, you don't say that in the South, in America.
That's the best heckle.
Well, there's
That's
great
the
heckles.
best
Believe me,
heckle.
heckles in England versus heckles. Well, not in that. Like, if you go to New York, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of, people read.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to the South, and even Atlanta, which they claim is the cool part of the South, which quite frankly is tantamount to being the world's least gammy leper, they are not watching it with the same level of detachment that we are.
No.
And I think when
Still real to them, damn it.
we nearly got beaten up so many times. When I yelled out in the middle of Randy Orton, and by the way, if you're a straight guy and you're a Randy Orton fan, come on. There's a long shot. And so
You'll note that Rob McNichol currently looks very disappointed.
I've never ever said I liked him. Never said that he's had the best year.
But I yelled
2011.
during one of his matches, there is nothing homoerotic about what is occurring right now, and the confusion around me of haha, what is it?
We are going to draw our Florida Championship Wrestling names out because what happened? Chris Hero, brilliant independent star, has signed with Florida Championship Wrestling, and he is now called Cassius Ono.
With a K.
With a K. Also, Claudio Castagnoli signed, and he's now called Antonio Cesaro. So they do tend to. Tyler Black, who of course appeared
Seth
in
Rollins.
Seth Rollins, who appeared in that promo, which you were in.
Did he?
The whole weightlifting promo. He was in that, and it's his first TV appearance. So what we're going to do is,
Which is really nice because his last one for Ring of Honor, he did the "You Can't See Me" Cena move when
he?
he was wrestling against Roderick Strong.
if you'd like to both pick out a first name.
first name, is
So
it?
pick out a first name. This is your new first name that you must go by. Pick out a new first name. There we go.
Are
I
we
could
revealing
actually
the
read
name
that
together,
one.
or are we just doing the names now? The
Let's
first name?
we'll reveal the whole name together.
Okay.
Okay. So put that down, and then a second name. So a surname.
No problem.
There, and then we'll probably just invent a gimmick. Because we've got to have a gimmick.
Hang on, I'll reach right in.
I'm quite happy with mine.
Okay.
What?
Oh, I'm quite happy with mine. What is yours, Rob McNichol?
I'm thinking I'm maybe someone that's comes from Jersey or Guernsey or one of the Channel Islands or something because I've got a bit of French and a bit of British. I am Claude Windsor.
Oh, very good.
Nice.
I like Claude Windsor.
Claude Windsor's quite regal.
all right.
You
I
would
think
have
someone's got a long black coat in their future.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you would. Yeah, someone just buy Wade Barrett a cloak instead of the. It really bugs me the whole.
Rob Newman fan.
You reckon that's
Bet
it?
you any money.
Yeah.
Bet you any money.
What's your name?
Duncan Moderberry.
Ooh, nice. What gimmick would you go with that?
Can we just get a long single on my face?
I think the best name. I think I would have to grow a
You
moustache.
know what? I'm
for
going to
this.
go on a limb, and I reckon so.
I reckon that all I need to do for this is grow a moustache.
Nice.
I'm Colin Reynolds. Isn't that beautiful?
You really are Colin Reynolds.
I
I
am.
think Jim Smallman is actually a...
It's a nom de plume.
I think that's someone that opened the batting for Glamorgan in the 1960s, Colin Reynolds. That's my
Glamorgan,
wrestling now.
hard to get to.
We've got another Skyper. On our Skype wall is Ash Rose. Hello, Ash. You all right, mate?
Hello, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, my friend. Before we get to chatting to you, I've got to draw you out your own FCW name. So I'm going to do this now. Your first name is Archie. So Archie. Wait, here we go. Archie Dingle is your new FCW name. So no longer Ash Rose, Archie Dingle, if you don't mind, mate.
That's all right. It's better than Michael McGillicuddy, I suppose.
Yeah, it is, to be fair.
How did that happen?
What, Michael McGillicuddy?
It's that way.
That way. That's how the FCW hat of names. That's how it happens.
Because Hennig is a good wrestling history name. They said he's Hennig's. He looks like Hennig.
Well, it's Kurt's son and Larry's grandson. You should be using that. But, you know, they don't. Ash, we're going to talk a bit about the whole PG thing here, because I believe, I'm under the understanding that you've written for WWE Kids, haven't you, in the past?
Yeah. In fact,
the magazine.
There's a new shout tomorrow.
Yeah, not just kids. Not just going around writing for kids. That'd be weird. But, I mean, what did you do for the sort of WWE Kids magazine? I mean, how did it come about?
I still do work on kids magazines. I work for a kids football magazine called Kick. I'm the editor of Kick. But we also done some other stuff with some other kids magazines before. So I got in touch with WWE Kids about doing some interviewing with some of the wrestlers we have access to. And so, yeah, on a freelance basis, every now and then I do some work for them guys.
Now, with the whole sort of PG outlook that they've got at the moment, which I'm not a fan of, I think the Elimination Chamber, incidentally, as a side note, did you watch Elimination Chamber at the weekend?
I did, yeah.
Did you think that? Because I've said this to the guys in the studio off camera, but I think that was one of the least PG pay-per-views they've had in a while, apart from the rubbish bump that Kane took. I think it was.
Yeah.
And throwing a laptop at someone.
Yeah.
That was like, when you got him in the wheelchair, you're like, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's quite a slow bump. But it was quite vicious in the cages, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the door slam, which I think was the first time in an Elimination Chamber I've ever seen that used. I've always thought, why has no one ever used the doors to their advantage? And you saw that, I think it was Wade Barrett and Daniel Bryan, where he had his head in the door and he was doing that with him. So that was something we hadn't seen before, and you wouldn't really expect that in a PG era. So it was a more brutal event, and even some of the bumps that Kofi Kingston took, and especially Dolph Ziggler. Again, it was on Raw last night. Some of the bumps he took. It seems to be the bumps in a way are stepping slightly away from the PG, which is, in my opinion, a slightly good thing as well.
I mean, one thing that's interesting after last week, Zack Ryder's bump that he took in the wheelchair.
That had to snap his ankle.
Which is a nasty bump. But you had people like Mick Foley going on Twitter saying, I hope he's all right, because that's actually quite a foolish bump to take.
That's ludicrous, because you can't control it.
No.
It was too... yet that really, like...
Because Mick always says one of the worst bumps he ever took was the one where him and Chainsaw Charlie in the dumpster when they got pushed off a stage.
Yeah.
Which he's always said was a horrible bump because they couldn't see what was happening, and it was genuinely painful.
And he's also said before, with the ones with The Rock, with the chair shots with The Rock, it was even more painful because he had his hands by his sides.
Yeah.
And even if you're not going to block it, you instinctively crush yourself, and that was, like that. So I guess, yeah.
And like me, when you watch the Beyond the Mat, do you remember watching the pay-per-view and thinking like, ugh, chair shots, whatever, and really it didn't get the desired effect because you'd seen so many chair shots. It's not until you saw Beyond the Mat you went,
possibly.
Oh,
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's so counterproductive to do these things that don't look all that good, and in actual fact are really very stupidly dangerous.
No, quite right. I mean, Ash, from the PG point of view, first, are you a fan of, because it's kind of involved with, obviously, you writing for kids magazines and stuff like that, are you a fan of PG, or is there part of you as a wrestling fan that says, we could probably push this a bit further and kids would still watch it anyway?
Yeah, I've kind of got a foot in both camps. I mean, I grew up with the Attitude Era, so obviously that, I was a fan of that. That's what I'm used to. And, Hell in a Cell, that potentially is coming up at WrestleMania, we all know won't be a Hell in a Cell match that we're used to. It won't be an Undertaker Mankind type of match, for example. But at the same time, I think if you did push the envelope a little bit, kids would still watch. I mean, there's the argument that you could do, maybe Raw could be the late night version of it, and then SmackDown could be a PG orientated show where you could
kind of how it started, wasn't it?
Well, it's all very planned that way, of hooking in, and people complain about Cena, but you had the Hulk Hogan superhero, so why would you then rob my kid of the superhero character.
You're quite right.
You're selfish.
And well, I'm going to ask
Jim Selfish
He's
Smallman.
a coward.
That's
He's
his.
a coward.
You're a coward, and you are selfish, sir. And you rarely ring your mum. And
I ring her all the time.
That's what
Brodus Clay tells you every week to ring your mum.
yeah, that's what should have happened in the promo from the Undertaker. You, sir, rarely ring your real parents anymore.
I was going to ask.
Because you're too enmeshed in the McMahon family.
I was going to genuinely ask you this. What's your lad's name? For a
Burns.
second? Burns, right? Great name.
Thanks very much. I get a single shot on my head then.
And but what's your attitude towards the PG thing? I mean, would you, if wrestling was more violent, would you still? Because he's 12. Would you still be as enthusiastic about that when we having him watching?
You know what? He's getting older now, so I'm glad that I'm the perfect age. I'm in the perfect age. And then I grew up on the comic book characters, and then I had the Attitude Era, and then I had a kid. And then I was able to take my kid along. And now it's starting to get slowly and slowly more edgy as my kid gets older. And it's, I'm at the perfect age
You've
for
timed it right.
Yeah, it's like I'm the perfect age to have appreciated Star Wars films and hated them in equal measure. Because I was the right age when Leia was...
Developing. Can I ask you, Brendon, how much do you let your lad watch the wrestling on his own, and how much did you when he was younger?
Oh, to be honest, he watches it with me. It's our bonding thing. Sure. You know, I'm sure if I wasn't around, he probably wouldn't watch it.
Because I think that's always been my thing with I struggle with where you like PG, hate PG. I like good wrestling and don't like bad wrestling. I think you can do great stuff under PG, and I think you can do terrible stuff.
That's a good
without
argument.
it. That's always my theory. But I don't think that necessarily it should be a babysitter. Yeah. I don't think that you put a 5-year-old in front of the TV and go watch a wrestling for a bit, mate, because it's PG. Yeah. I think any kind of violence like that, simulated or otherwise, I think they should be supervised. And to me, it doesn't matter whether it's PG or TV-14.
Do you know what?
Yeah, you know what?
That was just an incredibly sensible point. And
sorry, I'll stop doing that.
I feel we should perhaps underline that we do that sometimes on this show.
You could have probably done with like a warning before Triple H goes and tries to have sex in a coffin.
Yeah, that was that was a bit. Ash's face.
Everyone hated that. I loved it.
Ash's face says
he loved the audacity of that.
He remembers finding it very difficult to write for WWE Kids about Katie Vick.
I don't remember that fondly. That was a low point.
Someone complains about Katie Vick angle. I thought it was hysterical.
It was unintentionally hilarious. Ash, before we let you go, mate, what part of WrestleMania are you looking forward to the most?
I'm a bit of a sellout, I suppose. I think I'm looking forward to seeing The Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
I'm not really that enthused about seeing Triple H take it again, even in a cage or a Hell in a Cell. I think that's been done. I'd prefer Taker to have taken on a new challenge. So
but
for me,
what if it's the end of their careers?
Yeah, even so, I just didn't. Last year was a great fight. I wasn't even a fan of doing Michaels again, even though it was a brilliant second match. I don't know. It doesn't sit well. It doesn't.
Well, let me ask you then. How do you end their careers?
Well, Taker, I think, should go one more. I would put him with someone different. I would put him with a younger wrestler to say that I'm the one that took out the Undertaker.
No, the streak should never end. The streak should never be broken.
I'm gonna let Ash
You've
go now.
You've embarrassed yourself, your father, your father's friends.
Brendon,
if that's a bathroom behind you, go and have a look at yourself, son.
Brendan's quite angry. Ash, I like your attitude, mate. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Do feel free to get in touch in the future. And obviously, enjoy wrestling over the next few weeks and the build up to Mania. Thanks, mate.
Is that FSM? Is he right for FSM?
Ash, before we let you go, do you obviously you're still writing for WWE Kids? You wrote for FSM. Do you still write for FSM as well?
I haven't done. I did in the past. Yeah, when Martin Mathers was the editor, I did some stuff with him. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So, excellent. Well, if you want to follow Ash, he's AshRose83 on Twitter. You can follow him, obviously, joining us on the big wrestling debate that is the Slam every week. Thank you, Ash.
Cheers,
mate. And don't forget, you follow me on Twitter, @Jim Smallman, because we give you a question every week. We'll talk about that after this next break. But we've got to go for a break now before our final part, so we'll see you in 2. Hello, welcome back to the final part of this week's edition of The Slam. I am Jim Smallman. I am here, as always, with 2 studio guests. My 2 studio guests are the wonderful Mr. Rob McNichol from The Sun, doing the 4 Horsemen sign, and Brendon Burns.
Hello.
What accent was that?
I don't know. I think that was my Taker tweener voice.
It was
Taker tweener. That's
good. Taker, like going from American Badass, like going from the dead man to American Badass. Hello. Hello.
Was that if he works in a seafood market?
You coward, and You did see the stumbling of his lips, the Undertaker, in that promo last night. Of you can't. It's too difficult to bridge the characters on the mic. It's easy to do it, I think, emotionally and physically. But you notice, like when he's speaking as himself, he's again because as a grown man, as yourself, you can't say things like, the apocalypse is coming. Without feeling a bit silly.
No. I would have quite liked him to have started it as the dead man, and then when Triple H refused, we were going to drop the act.
Thank you. That's what I thought the hood was.
Yeah.
There has been a.
And I thought Rolling was going to start kicking in, and then the girls come out and start dancing.
They played Metallica at the end, though, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
But it's a really old Metallica song from one of their worst albums.
It didn't fit.
It's not. The Memory Remains is not the best. It's got it features a lady singing on the end of it, and it's just not right.
If only Hulk Hogan had joined Metallica like he claimed that he was asked to.
Oh yeah, he claimed he was going to be the original bass player.
He was asked to be the bassist in Metallica. Anyway, we've gone off topic.
Him instead of Cliff Burton. Wonder where their career would have gone. Terribly. That's where their career would have gone, my friends. Now, last week, I asked a question on Twitter. @Jim Smallman is my Twitter handle if you want to get in touch. The question I asked was, what is the most shocking thing you've ever seen in wrestling? This was because one of our guests last week was Jimmy Havoc, who is specialises in doing hardcore death matches. And we were talking about the most shocking things you've ever seen in wrestling. Our top 3 is as follows. Now,
Can we answer before they come up quickly? Can we answer our versions?
Yeah, of course.
Because as a kid, I was absolutely, positively terrified of Papa Shango. I mean, legitimately terrified of him. Yeah. When Ultimate Warrior started having all that tar running down his face.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking,
I was terrified of that.
Yeah, I'll go on that. Brendon, what's yours? The memory of Papa Shango is clearly enough.
Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Okay. Now, our top 3 is as follows. Number 3 on the list is, it's difficult to talk about on television, not because of the potential obscenity of the angle, but mainly because it was rubbish. There she is.
Talk to the hand.
Mae Young, talk to the hand. That's the nicest way of us putting the angle. If you don't remember the angle, it was during the Attitude Era. It was booked by Vince Russo, which probably explains quite a lot. And Mae Young gave birth to a hand. There is. I still now, knowing a bit about the angle, still can't really understand the point of it. And I think the reason that people voted for this...
I loved it.
I think you liked the Katie Vick angle, for God's sake.
I did. I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was really funny.
But number 2 on the list...
Again, quickly, can I just say the nice thing I can say about Mae Young is her speech at the Hall of Fame is my favourite Hall of Fame speech ever. She was fantastic. She was fantastic.
Drunk, you mean?
Yeah, but she was interested.
I've got mine. I realised what mine is. It's probably on there. Totally off the top of the cage.
Well, let's see. Number 2.
Gotta be.
Number 2 on the list is a non-wrestler, technically speaking. That's not number 2. That's the wrong graphic. Number 2 on the list is Shane McMahon's elbow drop. There he is. Shane McMahon's elbow drop from the top of the Titantron.
The ambulance match.
SummerSlam 2000 against Blackman. Is that the one?
No, Kane.
The one against Big Show, wasn't it?
Against Big Show. He's done a lot of them.
No. That was Kane, wasn't it?
Kane was the ambulance match.
That was the one where he took the ridiculous drop.
Then it would be that one. It is the
I
massive
think it's Kane.
drop. The
Big Show's the one where he smashed a cement block across Big Show's head.
And then also you've got, the worst bump...
Hang on, let me do my nerd.
The worst bump I've ever seen
was
always in the old "Don't Try This at Home" ones on the older videos. Was the
one with Angle.
the suplex he took onto it was meant to go through the glass and it didn't break.
Yeah,
and
it
it
didn't
landed on his
break.
head. That was horrible. So fair play to him for someone who obviously was trained as a wrestler but wasn't, was still doing business stuff.
And then Angle's deaf in one ear and he couldn't hear him. Really? Do you know about that?
No.
Angle's deaf. The whole what thing that comes from I believe. This could be conjecture, but I believe it's because Angle, when in his greener days, used to always go what when they were calling the match with him, and you'd constantly see him sometimes he'd be running the rope and he would literally be running the ropes and he'd stop halfway. What? Can we say the word for a female dog this time of day?
No,
we can't.
Told. No.
Okay, fine. The Rock one time, when they were doing a triple threat, I think it was him or whatever, and The Rock said, throw me back into the ring. And you can see The Rock very clearly grab Angle's head. And he goes, throw me back into the ring, you deaf son of a... And but that's, I believe, where what came. If you watch early angle matches, you can see him all the time going, what? And that's adorable.
That is adorable.
That is adorable, isn't it?
Number 1 on the list, and of no surprise to anyone whatsoever, because Brendon mentioned it before. It's my most shocking moment, definitely, because it's the moment I got back into wrestling. Is of course Foley's tumble off of the cage. Now,
did that just happen? That was the moment.
Well, I was literally flicking through Sky Sports at the time, and I was trying to find something to watch, and I hadn't watched wrestling in a bit, and I got to it, and I went, I'll just leave this on, because they were on top of the cage.
Yeah.
I'd literally switched over at that point.
What a time.
And then what? And because of the way they sold it, this again comes back to what we were discussing with Des before about the difference a commentator can make.
Absolutely.
Jim Ross's call on that is absolutely unbelievable.
As God is my witness, he's been broken in half.
Yeah, but also they played
no,
a
good
bit
God,
of this.
they killed him, wasn't it?
Yeah,
well,
they did that as well.
Yeah.
But also last night they mentioned this, and Jim Ross tweeted about this, was the whole Ron Simmons going into the Hall of Fame. When Ron Simmons won the world title from Vader in WCW in 1992, that is another amazing moment that was called by Jim Ross, and he made it sound amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why we miss people like Jim Ross. That's why wrestling fans like Jim Ross so much.
There was a top point on that Ron Simmons video package last night, by the way, was that all his good stuff in WCW, great career, first black champion, etc., kind of left out Nation of Domination and then went wearing the silly gladiator outfit and then just went to the APA, which was funny. But on the Mankind thing, is it the first or the second bump? We're presumably talking the first one when he comes off, are we?
I think the first one
because the second one was kind of worse.
It's only it's only when you know more about it and you've read his autobiography, and in my case, you've spoken to him about it. And
so did he know that was going to happen? Did that break by accident?
No, it was accident.
The second one was.
The second one was an accident.
Yeah, it was an accident. He had no intention of breaking the cage like that. And especially not having a chair come down, hit him in the face and hit him underneath his lip.
And the mystery tooth.
Yeah, which is I showed my girlfriend that before I did a gig with him when he was doing his first stand-up tour here. And I said, you're going to meet one of my heroes tonight. I want you to watch the moment where he started becoming my hero.
I was really hoping you were going to go, I want you to shut your face. We are opening, can I admit, the markiest, kind of man-crushing thing ever.
Yeah.
Foley's my favourite wrestler of all time, and Jim and I are opening for him on Friday. And my missus said, can I come? And I went, no. And she goes, oh, what? It'll be great fun. You're going to take him for ribs and everything? I went, I kind of want him all to myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not taking anyone. Because essentially, my +1 was going to be you, and now you're doing the gig as well. Yeah. So it's easy. No girls allowed.
Yeah, come on!
You have no idea how excited we are about this.
Oh yeah, I am properly.
Speaking of this, and this is a little preview before we get to Job of the Week. Next week's show is a Mick Foley special because I have convinced Michael Francis Foley to come and sit in the studio with me and just chat for an hour about stuff. So next week's edition of the Slam will be a special Mick Foley edition.
Can I come and hang
very
out?
exciting. So this week's Twitter-related question, if you want to tweet me at Jim Smallman, is: have you got any questions for Mick? The best ones, I will pull out of a hat. We'll ask him the questions next week. So at Jim Smallman on Twitter, you can see it on the bottom of the screen there. Come up with some questions. We will ask the best questions to Mick on the Slam next week. I'm very, very excited. Now, to end the show,
I dare you to go, hell in the cell, did that hurt?
Already done it. Our Jobber of the Week was a suggestion from both of you in the past. We like to do a Jobber of the Week every week. This week's Jobber of the Week is I'm Mike Sharp.
Yeah!
There he is.
I'm Iron Mike Sharp. I'm Iron Mike Sharp. Come on, referee, what the hell? That was my favourite.
Fantastic.
There's just his calling in the ring. Wah!
Did he ever win a match?
Yeah.
Have you seen him win a match?
He was outside. He was in Stampede Wrestling, and that's why he was always introduced as the wily veteran. Remember, like in the 80s during what was it, Superstars?
Yeah, Superstars.
Superstars of Wrestling. They would always try and sell jobbers as if they had a shot. Yeah. And whenever a new guy would be coming in and going, he's up against the wily veteran.
Now, speaking of jobbers to the stars more, but he did win on Raw last night. Martin, our producer, has wanted us to point out the best photo of David Otunga ever. Now, bearing in mind, he tweeted the photo that he took in the ring.
I can say he's quite the
That was
photographer.
great. It was a brilliant photo with an iPhone. That was amazing. There is David Otunga, and I believe that, firstly, I think we need to point out, no one drinks a coffee that big, do they? Have you ever drunk that much coffee in one go?
I don't drink coffee anyway, but...
all I can say is that my only response isn't very PG.
Yeah. I love the fact that he's gone to the Grammys in a cardigan and a bow tie with his incredibly stunning missus. He's gone in full gimmick. Now that is commitment.
Anyone can have a cardigan and a fit missus and a bow tie. I mean, I've got a cardigan.
It is time for us to wrap up this edition of The Slam. I would like to thank my guests, as always, Mr. Rob McNichol from The Sun.
Claude Windsor.
Claude Windsor, sorry. Mr. Brendon Burns, IKA Duncan...
IKA?
IKA. What is your name? What's your FCW name?
Duncan Modderberry.
Duncan Modderberry.
Duncan Modderberry. And I have been Colin Reynolds. Thank you for joining us on The Slam. Next week, Mick Foley special. Get your questions in. We will see you then. Thanks, guys.
Stay ahead of the game with Sports Tonight Live. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for Sports Tonight Live on Facebook and like our fan page. Follow Sports Tonight TV on Twitter and tweet us your thoughts and opinions. Sports Tonight Live, it's the platform for the fans.